Hey, cat. Well, a few weeks late. Took some time. Had to redo my data sheet for weapons and whatever. Saw people having discussions about what's the highest DPS and whatnot and whatever. I did one for this before. Of course, what guns I put in within these ranking systems is my personal belief. I can explain each and every one of them. But at the core of my philosophy in this game, every gun has a place, and it's no matter what gun you use, if you enhance it, keyword, if you're enhancing it, you should be strong. Like a plus 10 whatever gun, it's still gonna do damage if you build for it and whatnot. Could be exceptions for one particular gun, but either way, um, we can just get this right off the bat. If we're gonna talk meta, and it's it's the usual. Let's see, SPR maybe. This is like let's move this up a bit. This is like great here. You got good, you got great. I'd say it's great. Same with the Recon Scout. They're both great snipers. There's nothing wrong with it. But the change they did with snipers in particularly was when they're trying to do some balancing stuff with the sniper category. And basically what they said was at a minimum range, you do less damage. Like, let's say I was 2 feet in front of you, you're shooting a sniper, I do less damage. Now you're 10 feet in front of me, I do more damage because it's getting closer to the effective range. That's basically the nerf they added to snipers. So that's it. If you want to see the numbers for it, the sniper numbers all arbitrary because they're these damage numbers with cycle time, meaning that the DPS is calculated by the raw damage inputted on the gun itself, the amount of ammo it has base without substats, divided by its cycle time, which includes emptying out the mag and reloading, because it makes no sense to just mag dump. But if you have to reload anyway and not include the reload part of the DPS process, because that's how you reset the whole cycle. So, as we're getting into that, that is how this DPS on the right hand side, a little small, um, is calculated. If we talk about the, well, yeah, I'll leave the meta out for the beginning, but we just talk about the SPR and the Recon. Recon has like 5k versus the SPR is basically double at 10k DPS damage per second. This is all these numbers are based on end grade equipment to make it fair. Plus, I don't have SSRs on all of them. If you want to see stats for them, you basically just add 4 enhancement levels, and then that is a +0, a +0 SSR. Either way, basically saying Recon Scout does half the DPS as SPR, but if you think about it, that does make sense. Your Recon Scout's supposed to one-shot things, like it's just one shot. Where the SPR does consistent damage, whether it's like Skiddos and whatnot. The SP, like they just have different jobs. I run Recon Scout. Everyone runs Recon Scout because it's craftable, it's affordable, and most people would say, "Oh, SPR is still meta." Like, yes and no. Like, you're gonna get outbeat because your positioning is more crucial, and if there's zombies that run up next to you, you're gonna, even if it takes one extra bullet, that's an extra bullet that you not shooting the boss with. On top of, snipers inherently have low ammo counts, so if you don't have like the premium sub whatever thing for $10, like you just don't have enough ammo, and you're gonna see yourself dwindling and constantly going back to the ammo box to refill yourself, and like that's the main issues with running a sniper as a main weapon. So that's why I put these two as great. Just to stay consistent, let's go look at the other snipers, the judge, trailing it from SPR downward. The next one would be the judge, coming at 5600. All of these are basically 50% of the SPR's DPS. So theoretically, there's only two options. You take Recon Scout, you get SPR. Judge 922, SR 700, the brush. Oh, I mean, the brush is probably the worst one. The so that goes in the Would these other ones be usable? Yeah, I would say so. I don't know what the hell the other sniper is supposed to look like. Shotgun, sniper. So, damage wise, DPS wise, the judge is a no go. That judge? No, this is not the judge. This is the. Wait a minute. Yeah. This is the brush. There we go. Yeah. So, this is basically the tier when it goes judge, SR 700, and then the brush. You still do the same niche DPS as a recon, just in more bullets. So like, but you can just craft a recon scout in just one shot. Going to my personal favorite, just to rip it off. We have the pistols. What's surprisingly is the G18. I think it's great, and then I would put the other two pistols as good. They did buff, well, the overall handgun pistol buff they did for that category is just movement speed. You just fucking ADS faster and you can walk faster with a pistol in hand. Doesn't really matter, to be honest. The big flip though is the G17 turned into the G18 despite having the same bullets as the 17, but now it's fully automatic. So if we go to the number charts, it's basically comparable with it's at 6700, which is basically like 3k underneath the SPR. So, and for a handgun, that's pretty crucial. So 6700, or let's go 6.7k, and then it goes down to the C1911 at 5.3k, and then we go to the RIC at 3.7k. I would say I would even put the RIC as niche but usable, because if you do upgrade it, you're just holding a sniper, and I think it holds the same value as the Recon Scout in that regard, where you're just popping heads. It should, if it's not strong enough to do one-shot kills, it's kind of garbage. And it has long reloads. They did try to make it faster, but it still takes a lot of time. C1911 is just good. No, it's, we want to be Leon Kennedy. That's basically the gun for it. Going down to submachine guns, my personal favorite. We get out the way the Micro 9, which is the lowest DPS at 8.4k. Arbitrary number, 8.4k though. Fast mag dump, um, fast mag dump, and it's just quick reload, quick cycle time. Doesn't do as much damage because low mag size. And next, you would put in the MPWK and the AMP45. So surprisingly, these two guns are basically neck and neck. I would say that basically the same to an extent. I mean, the only difference between them would basically be their reload's basically the same. Their mag dump is slightly faster than the AMP, but I guess you would go with the MPWK for higher mag size. It's just more forgiving. But if you play better, AMP is technically better because per bullet is a heavier shot. Moving on to the Tommy gun. I think the Tommy gun is an upgraded version of the MPK. MPK? MPWK. It is higher mag, hits about the same DPS wise, but you just have so much ammo to work with. The reload is a bit on the heavier side, but things with beaming down enemies and one clipping things are more realistic. Like if you had a higher level Skiddo, you could probably one clip it. Instead of reloading halfway through and running through 2 cycles, you can do 1 cycle, is the bonus of having a larger magazine. Of course, and if you miss more shots, it's less burdensome. Like there's more forgiving because you can miss more bullets to line up your shots, is what I mean. Um, and then the newest one, this is my personal bias because I'm running the Hector personally. So I'm gonna put it up top. I ran the numbers. The Hector is basically the fastest fire rate. I mean, next to like the micro and the MPWK, but it has a higher damage rate, especially with the new buffs, the new MP, the new Hector buffs. And let's see, if I scroll back onto their updates right here, bring this over. You can read this real quick. They basically buffed the reload speed, they buffed the attack power of the Hector from base, and basically this chart over here on the bottom right incorporates all these new changes. So micro basically didn't do anything, Tommy gun basically didn't do anything, and that's why the Tommy gun is now comparable to the MPW and the AMP 45. So if you want a Tommy gun, it's basically these upper two are very similar, like basically the same. The only thing is magazine size. Good thing about the Hector is it shoots so fast that you can mag dump very quick to a point where you don't really miss. As long as you line up your shot, your entire magazine is gone before you figure it out. And that's where all the bursty EPS goes. It has one of the shorter reload speeds, which helps a lot with getting up cycles because I find myself just lasering down something, reloading. I'm probably reloading more than I'm actually shooting. Either way, going to the game's fan favorite shotguns. I'm gonna leave out Alpha for a second and then work my way down. SG 1100. SG 1100, I believe is this. They're all they're all good except for one. I mean, I guess except for two. But even then, the only one that's really awkward is the coach gun. The improvised gun is really it's a meme. I'm gonna just leave it at that. It's just a meme. The coach gun I think is usable but niche because you just dump 2 shells and reload, dump 2 shells. But it's so fast and it's fun to use. That's why I think it's niche but usable, but I don't think it's good on a day-to-day. The breach is good. It's basically a watered down AA-12. They're basically the same gun, but the AA-12 is a direct upgrade. The SG and the sawed off, like all these fit in the same category as just good. And you're basically just a cowboy. I would even say the breacher is probably the best out of the rest, just because it's more automatic and you can. I mean, they all reload singly. And we look at mag dump, how fast. Oh, SG 1100 will probably be best bang for your buck. That is this one. And then I would go Breacher. Personally, out of all the and then we go the AA-12, the Alpha 12. If you want raw numbers about it, oh, actually, forgot the other paid one, and I'm gonna put in good, not great, because it's a pump action. It takes long. It's kind of strong, but not really, especially for like elites and the low ammo count. I thought you can bypass the low ammo count because you can just put 1 shell in, reload 1 shell, and then just keep running that same loop. So you don't need all the ammo, but you're just so bottlenecked on getting damage out fast. If we look at the if we look at the table, basically all the shotguns would range at 8.5k DPS, basically from here onward. And then the CS23 is at 9.3k DPS, okay? But the alpha is at 13.9k. So we're looking around like a good 40% higher DPS than the rest of the shotguns. And basically outclasses the other ones by a long shot. The only thing is, this data only accounts for if every 8 pellets, like all 8 pellets you shoot out of the shotgun, hits the head. This is where this numbers come from. This is perfect play. We don't really deal with perfect play. But also, the other thing that puts alpha as meta is because, unlike every other shotgun, this one reloads its entire magazine with one reload. You're not putting individual shells in, you're not waiting for downtime. You pump the whole thing and then you reload the whole thing. And that already puts it at an edge against the rest, which is sad, but it is what it is. So, and we go to everyone's favorite ARs, starting with the new one that came out. 9.1k DPS. I think it's a great gun. It's basically like the SCAR. I will put it right next to the SCAR. I will put the SCAR as the meta pick. So the S550 and then the SCAR, the SFAR-H. Like, these two guns are basically the same guns, except one shoots faster and does less damage. And I only think that, I mean, that's just what the number is too, because they did a massive attack bonus to SFAR, 20% attack increase. Like, that's insane. Even the M4, 18% attack bonus is nuts. S550, even 9% whatever. But these buffs for just the SCAR, I think if you're gonna rock AR, you either do an M4 or you do a SCAR. I mean, but doesn't mean that the S550 is bad or in any capacity. Like, it's just a more forgiving SCAR. And the SCAR, if you play better, you're gonna get better results. Essentially, it's like high skill ceiling, less forgiveness, and then the S550 is lower skill ceiling, higher forgiveness. M16, it's just good. M16 is just good. There's nothing crazy about it. With this micro, I want to move my micro down to niche but usable. It's really not good. I'll put the pistol here too. I feel like a lot of people agree the pistols are just niche. But the G18, I think it's great. You're basically holding another a submachine gun, but pistol form, which is pretty funny. But that's also biased. Realistically, it's just good. Okay, moving on. M16, yeah. M4, M4 is a great gun. Would I put it ahead? I'll just leave it as great gun. XR15, what does the stats say? XR15 is on the lower end of all the DPS for the ARs. So I would say it's good, but I put it here. And LMG, also meta. Just because if you want to check out the stats at a 10.2k DPS, not the highest, but you just have so much rounds. The only downside is you have a long reload. But if you're shooting the boss for the entire 8 seconds that it takes you to like deplete your clip, like, and especially with killing Skiddos and other elites and broods, like, there'll be so much room. Like, you'll kill enough where you don't have to wait and gauge position because you'll kill it all within one magazine. Is basically why it is meta. DPS wise, you do start scaling off a bit more when better players, or if you play better yourself, that you can use a more unforgiving gun and get a higher out payout. More unforgiving guns, I mean like something that shoots faster, something harder to control. It's like the Krinkov. Krinkov has the shittiest recoil but has highest base damage, and that's why Krinkov is by damage is technically the highest DPS out of all the ARs at 9.9, basically 10k DPS. Next one would be SCAR at 9.9k DPS, and this is all just raw numbers. It does not incorporate how you play. But theoretically, if you get all headshots on both guns, they're basically the same. You're just 100 DPS off from each other, which is really good and kind of shocking to see the meta change a little bit. The only thing is, I guess before I get into the raw numbers between all these different guns, I'll place them closest to the left is better tier, further to the right is worse tier. I would say the coach is actually up here. I'll put the Rick behind it. And I'll put these. This is about it. I feel like the submachine guns you can get better value. So these two are about the same. I'll take the more ammo is probably best. Pistol, sorry, but it has to go at the end. The shotguns, ooh, the breacher, no. SG has a high, CS23 has highest DPS to the SG 1110 or 1100, into a breacher, into whatever this is, into the Winchester, because you have to, it's a lever action, so in between every shot takes some time. I would move, I would think that the shotgun, the CS23 is better than the M16. Just a 3-round burst, you lose a lot of damage that way. But with the XR15, I would say is better than the M16. Going up, SPR is at top. I would drag Recon Scout at the very bottom. I would move M4. Yeah, I would do M4 into S550. Come on, come on. M4 to S550, Tommy gun into Recon Scout would be the next great tier. And out of all the meta, Hector is my fan favorite. Regardless of what the number says, I love the MP5. So I'm gonna set that there. That's bias. Next, I would actually say the MG would go next into a SCAR, to an AK, into the AA12. The only reason why the AA12 is not higher is because of range. You got, and that's the same reason why the MG, the machine gun, MG 240 is up there. It's because of range effectiveness. And range effectiveness basically means if you're standing at the correct position, your damage goes higher, so you can hit that threshold. It's a shotgun, you do less damage the further you are away. So positioning plays more into it. The AK and the SCAR, you have mid-range positioning. You have so much wiggle room. And even though you have less stability when shooting when moving, because it's an AR, it doesn't really matter. And because of that, it's pretty hard to it'll be harder to control the AK versus the SCAR when you can two-tap things, just because it's slightly stronger. MG has the longest effective range, surprisingly. You can sit in the back of the map with the snipers and you can just unload rounds without a worry. So that's why it's here. Hector, you're like you're like running a taser. You just run up, dump the mag, and then go to the next cycle. So you're just carrying basically a small bomb with you wherever you go. And you're just mobile. High skill ceiling, not really forgiving, that kind of deal. So that's my 2 cents on the new tier list with the December 18th patch. If we go through raw numbers, the highest DPS categorized gun is, of course, the Alpha 12. But with shotguns, unpredictable. We go to the next one, is actually the Hector at 10.6k DPS. These are just all raw numbers. You can see my time it takes to empty the mag, time it takes to reload, the whole cycle time, raw damage, whatever. Hector at 10.6k DPS. Next would be the Krinkov at just shy of 10k DPS. And then you have the MG240 at 10.2k DPS. And this is all per second. This doesn't count for like the burst. This is just as time goes on, you put a timer or stopwatch per second, you're doing this much damage. And of course, if you miss a shot, that's your DPS also dwindles. Going back to the ARs, like I said, right behind the Krinkov is the Scar at 9.9k DPS, so you're not too far off between the two. So some say the S550 is better than the Scar, but this is what my numbers came out to be, and says the Scar is stronger just because the buffs, they're just meatier that way. So yeah, this is what the new Darkest Days, like buffs, nerfs, and whatever tier lists has gotten. So yeah, bye bye.